Ladies, let me ask you something. Have you ever sent a message and stared at your phone, wondering if this is the one that will finally make him see what he has in front of him? You've shown your heart, you've played it cool, and still, radio silence. What if I told you that it's not just about what you feel, it's about how you communicate it? Words, simple, well-placed words, can completely shift the emotional gravity in a relationship. When you speak to a man's identity, you're engaging with the deepest part of who he believes he is. Most people compliment behaviors. You're so funny, you're good at your job, or you're really strong, but these compliments, while nice, don't create a lasting emotional impression. What does? Speaking to the core of his self-impression. Every man carries around an internal narrative about who he is or who he wants to be. When a woman speaks directly to that narrative in a way that reflects it back to him more clearly, he doesn't just feel seen, he feels magnetically drawn to her because she taps into something no one else does. Let's say he sees himself as a protector, someone who prides himself on showing up when it counts. Instead of saying, "Thanks for helping," you say, "I always feel safe when I'm around you. It's like nothing could go wrong." That taps directly into his identity. You're not praising what he did. You're confirming who he believes he is. You're anchoring yourself to the version of himself he loves most that makes your presence addictive. You're not just a woman appreciating a kind act. You're someone who recognizes his essence and mirrors it back in a way that makes him feel elevated. This principle applies in so many ways. If a man sees himself as ambitious, driven, someone who refuses to settle, saying something like, "I really admire how you go after what you want," it's rare to find someone so intentional, will make him feel not only understood, but respected. And more importantly, it makes him associate that feeling with you. It's not just that he enjoys the praise, it's that he begins to associate you with the version of himself he's most proud of. When you communicate like this, you separate yourself from every surface level interaction he's used to. You're not flirting for the sake of flirting. You're anchoring yourself to his emotional identity. Men, like everyone else, are starving to feel seen beyond the exterior. If you're the one woman who makes him feel like his deeper self is not only seen but celebrated, he will think about you long after the conversation ends. That feeling becomes a craving. And here's the nuance. This only works when it's genuine. You can't fake insight. You have to observe him, listen closely, and reflect back what you genuinely see. That's what creates intimacy. Being noticed in a way that feels rare. The power of this approach lies in subtlety. It's not loud praise or forced compliments. It's quiet recognition. It's the offhand comment that hits like a lightning bolt because it speaks to who he wants to be. Most women are too busy trying to impress or be chosen. But when you stop and see him in a way that aligns with the identity he already aspires to, he doesn't feel like you're performing for him. He feels like you're partnering with him on who he wants to become. Admiration and validation might seem similar on the surface, but the emotional impact they create is worlds apart. Validation is often reactive. It's about confirming someone's worth based on their actions or appearance. You're hot, you're successful, or you did great. While these may feel good temporarily, they wear off quickly because they don't challenge or inspire. Admiration, on the other hand, is proactive. It's about recognizing deeper qualities in someone that aren't always obvious and showing appreciation for those unique traits in a way that makes the person feel respected rather than simply approved. When you admire a man, you're not just noticing what everyone else notices, you're identifying something meaningful in his character, something that reflects the way he moves through the world. Validation can feel conditional or transactional, especially if it's tied to external performance. Admiration feels earned and personal. It tells him that you see something valuable in who he is, not just what he does. For example, instead of saying, "You're such a hard worker," you might say, "I love how committed you are to the things you care about. You really don't back down when something matters to you." That kind of comment touches something internal. It doesn't just boost his ego, it strengthens his identity. Admiration also allows you to express desire without coming across as needy or performative. Many women feel pressure to build a man up constantly in hopes of gaining affection or attention in return, but true admiration is different. It's not about inflating someone, it's about recognizing. It has a quiet confidence to it. It says, "I don't need to validate you, but I can clearly see something in you that's rare, and that subtle shift changes everything." A man becomes drawn to that kind of energy because it doesn't ask anything of him. It just reflects who he already is and gives him space to grow into more of it. The key is knowing the difference between surface level compliments and deep recognition. Surface compliments are everywhere, he's heard them all before, but when a woman looks beneath the surface and pinpoints something that most people overlook, she becomes unforgettable. Admiration opens a door to intimacy because it makes someone feel safe and seen rather than judged or evaluated. It's a powerful form of emotional currency. It builds connection without dependence, interest without pressure. A man who feels admired, not for what he can give you, but for who he is at his core, will associate your presence with empowerment. He'll feel that being around you doesn't just feel good, it makes him feel like a better version of himself. That experience is addictive. It's what separates someone he's casually interested in from someone he becomes emotionally invested in. Because while validation might win attention, admiration wins devotion. Emotional exclusivity is one of the most potent forces in creating deep connection, especially when used subtly through your words. It's the idea that how you make someone feel is not easily found elsewhere. In a world full of surface-level interactions, being the person who speaks to someone in a way that makes them feel uniquely understood becomes magnetic. When you use phrases that communicate a sense of personal closeness, things like, "I've never told anyone else this," or "you just get me," you're creating a bubble around the two of you. It sends a powerful message. This connection is different. The truth is, men often don't talk about their emotions openly. They don't always have spaces where they feel they can be vulnerable without being judged. When you create a conversation that makes him feel emotionally exclusive, like he has access to a side of you that others don't, you invite him into a rare emotional experience. It tells him he's not just another guy in your life. He's someone who has earned something more personal, something deeper. When you say things that hint at emotional rarity, you're showing that this moment, this exchange, isn't part of your everyday. It's reserved, intentional, and real. You can also flip this and offer him emotional exclusivity by saying things that position him as different from the rest. When you say something like, "You see things in a way most people don't," or "You always know how to calm me down when things get crazy," you're telling him that his presence evokes a response in you that no one else does. It becomes a mirror effect. He feels special because you feel different when you're with him. That's the kind of feeling that sticks. He begins to associate your presence with a kind of closeness and emotional intimacy that he doesn't find anywhere else. It's not about manipulation, it's about being intentional with how you share, what you highlight, and the emotional space you create together. You don't need grand declarations or over-the-top flattery. A simple phrase, said at the right moment, can quietly shift the emotional temperature of your conversation. The more he feels that being around you is emotionally exclusive, that the energy, attention, and connection you share isn't something you give lightly, the more he begins to crave it. He starts to view your bond as something that can't be easily replaced, and that awareness is what breeds emotional obsession. This approach also invites him to let his guard down. If he senses that you're sharing thoughts, feelings, or sides of yourself that are usually reserved for only the closest people in your life, it gives him permission to do the same. It sets the tone for a relationship dynamic where mutual vulnerability is safe, appreciated, and unique. You're not just another person he talks to. You become the person he talks to differently because he feels something different with you. The protector instinct in men is a deeply rooted psychological trigger, and when activated subtly, it can foster a strong emotional connection. This isn't about appearing weak or helpless, far from it. It's about creating space for him to step into his strength in a way that feels meaningful, not performative. When you use language that gently invites him to show up for you, to care, to support, you're giving him a role that speaks directly to his sense of purpose. Men want to feel useful in the lives of the people they care about. They don't just want to be liked, they want to be needed in a way that reflects trust and appreciation. Triggering this instinct doesn't require grand gestures. It can be as simple as saying, "I feel so calm when I talk to you," or "I always feel safer when you are around." These aren't just compliments. They're subtle affirmations that tell him, "You matter in my world in a way that no one else does." It activates his desire to protect, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. He starts to feel that your well-being is connected to his presence, that he plays a role in helping you feel grounded, secure, or more at peace. That's where the emotional pull begins. It's important to understand that this isn't about manipulation or dependence, it's about connection. Everyone at some level wants to feel like they have a unique role in someone's life. For men, especially those who pride themselves on strength, stability, and reliability, being able to be a safe space for someone they care about is incredibly affirming. When you use your words to signal that his energy makes a positive difference in your emotional experience, it speaks directly to this core drive. You're saying, without saying, "You're the one I feel drawn to when I need reassurance or peace." The protector instinct also responds to vulnerability, but not the kind that demands saving. It responds to trust. When you share a thought like, "It's hard for me to open up about this, but I feel comfortable with you," you're telling him that he's earned your trust. That makes him want to hold that space even more carefully. He feels responsible, not out of duty, but out of genuine care. You've handed him something fragile, and the very act of that offering makes him feel more connected to you. Even light, playful moments can trigger this instinct. Asking for his opinion on something important, letting him help you solve a problem, or simply acknowledging when his advice made a difference. All of this reinforces the idea that his presence has an impact. It's not about pretending you can't handle life. It's about showing him that while you are fully capable, there's something about his presence that brings added comfort, confidence, or clarity. That feeling builds emotional significance. Playful confidence is one of the most magnetic qualities you can express, especially when you're trying to build attraction that goes deeper than surface level interest. It's not about being arrogant or dominating the conversation. It's about embodying a light, self-assured energy that invites fun, connection, and emotional intrigue without needing approval. When you speak from a place of playful confidence, you're showing that you value yourself, that you enjoy your own company, and that you're not afraid to challenge or tease in a way that's warm and engaging. This dynamic creates a spark. It disrupts the predictable and makes every interaction feel more alive. The key here is tone and intention. Playful confidence isn't aggressive, sarcastic, or dismissive. It's flirtatious in a way that makes the other person feel good about themselves while still keeping them on their toes. For example, saying something like, "Oh, so you're the responsible one in your friend group? I don't know if I believe that just yet," delivers a gentle challenge wrapped in humor. It shows that you're paying attention but you're not immediately sold, which adds mystery and keeps him engaged. You're not giving away your full interest. You're allowing the tension to build, which is where true chemistry often lies. What makes this especially powerful is that men are drawn to women who seem to be enjoying themselves. That doesn't mean you have to be the loudest person in the room, but when you're in your own energy, expressing your thoughts with boldness and humor, you create a vibe that's contagious. It signals that you're not trying to win him over, you're letting him discover you. That shift in dynamic flips the script. He's no longer assessing if he wants you, he's now intrigued about how to get more of your attention. This confidence also shows in how you handle compliments and flirtation. Instead of just smiling and saying thank you, a playful twist might be, careful, flattery like that could get you into trouble. Or, you're saying all the right things, should I be suspicious? This adds a layer of flirtatious tension while still keeping the energy light and inviting. You're showing that while you appreciate the attention, you're not desperate for it. That's what separates attraction from attachment. When a man feels that you're not emotionally dependent on his approval, he starts to value your attention more because it feels earned, not expected. Playful confidence also allows you to navigate deeper conversations with ease. When things get emotionally intense or vulnerable, a well-timed, light-hearted comment can bring relief and make the moment feel safer. It shows emotional intelligence and balance. You're not afraid of depth, but you also know how to keep things fun and grounded. This makes a man want to be around you not just for passion, but for peace. It's a rare and irresistible combination: fun and safety, depth and laughter, challenge and warmth, all communicated through tone, timing, and presence. Future pacing is one of the most psychologically effective tools in building emotional investment, especially when used in subtle, natural ways during a conversation. It's the act of planting seeds about the future in a way that makes someone unconsciously imagine you in it. The goal isn't to pressure or declare serious intentions. It's to invite a feeling of continuity, of something lasting, through your words. When a man begins to picture experiences, jokes, or adventures with you in the future, even in a casual or humorous tone, you begin to occupy emotional real estate in his mind. He's no longer just reacting to you in the present, he's starting to anticipate you in his future. This is incredibly powerful because people invest more deeply in what they imagine returning to. When you say something as simple as, "You'd probably be the one getting us lost on a road trip," or "Next time we do this, you're picking the restaurant," it creates a visual, it creates a moment in his mind where the two of you exist beyond the now. And once that image is there, once he sees the version of himself laughing with you, arguing playfully with you, or exploring life with you, it becomes something he emotionally leans into. He starts to see you not just as someone fun or attractive, but as someone he can build something with, even if that idea is still subconscious. Future pacing also signals confidence. It shows that you're not walking on eggshells, that you believe you'll be around long enough for shared memories to unfold. You're not asking for commitment. You're assuming continued connection in a way that feels easy and fun. That assumption shifts the energy. It communicates that your presence is not a fleeting moment. It's the beginning of something meaningful. Even if the relationship is still new, this kind of language gives it forward momentum, which is often what's missing in short-lived romantic encounters. Another way to apply this is through shared language, creating inside jokes, naming hypothetical future situations, or building us scenarios. All of this creates emotional glue. For example, saying, "This is totally going to be one of our stories in 10 years, turns a moment into a potential memory. You're framing the interaction as something with lasting value, which gives him a sense of emotional continuity with you. And that continuity is what builds the sense of belonging that leads to obsession. You can also use future pacing to highlight values and compatibility in a playful way. For instance, if we ever went traveling together, I already know you'd be the one bargaining for the best deal while I pretend not to know you. Creates a dynamic picture that combines humor, partnership, and shared experience. It's light, but it's personal. It's fictional, but it feels real. The more you make a man picture life with you, even in fleeting hypothetical moments, the more emotionally familiar you become. That familiarity becomes a longing when you're not around, because he's already seen the version of his life that includes you in it.